Welcome. My name is Teresa from the blog and YouTube channel freetoflower.com, where I share all about simple living on our European farm, homesteading how-tos, and recipes from scratch. Please hit the subscribe button below to never miss a new video. Today I want to talk to you about something that I don't really see talked about enough in a positive light. And that is how to embrace motherhood without losing yourself as a person, without giving up on the things that you love, and how to embrace motherhood and still really enjoy life. Motherhood is a really busy season. Whether you have one child or 5 children, you are undeniably going to be busier than you were previously. Now, with more children, there comes an expansion in how much you are able to handle, how comfortable you feel amidst the chaos. But with the arrival of a new one, you will still be at your max. So if this is your first, that is your max. If this is your 4th, this is your max. And so I think that most women who find joy in motherhood and who are always striving to become the best mothers they can possibly be will find themselves at some point struggling perhaps to remember who they are, remember what lights them up, and to find time to rest, recharge, and come back to center. I am no different than all of those mothers that come before me. I juggle a lot of plates at the moment, some of which I talk a lot about on here, and others I don't. I am obviously a mother to 2 pretty rowdy boys. Me and my husband run a farm, a homestead with a bunch of animals, a garden, all of those things. I obviously have my blog and this YouTube channel, and in addition to that, I also run a pretty full-time online business where I help bloggers run their blogs. We are a ghost blogging agency, and we provide all sorts of services. So my plate is really full, and some time ago I felt like I am running into a proverbial wall, especially in the evenings. I just felt pretty tapped out. I was struggling to, get up in the mornings, and that spark just felt like it disappeared from my life. I felt like I was always drowning in work, and I didn't really feel like I got to enjoy some of the joys in life. We then went on a 2-week vacation where we stepped away from everything, and I felt so rejuvenated, but also so encouraged, because this little break showed me that all I really needed and need is a little bit of a break. And when I come back, I still absolutely love my life. I love cooking and baking from scratch. I love dehydrating lavender, which is what I'm doing a lot of in this video. We have a beautiful lavender bush that just blesses us with so many lavender flowers year after year, and I'm always experimenting with something new. This year I am dehydrating some lavender flowers in the dehydrator. If you've been here for any amount of time, you know that I've been big on the dehydrator game this year. I'm also air drying some lavender and making a bunch more things, but more on that later. So my break was really refreshing and also eye-opening. And so ever since we got back, I have been striving to find moments of alignment in my day, and these can be sometimes very little. Things like I love doing a little bit of meditation in the morning. I love going on a morning swim or a morning walk. I even just love sitting down or standing in my garden and looking at the sky in the morning. That brings me so much just pleasure. It feels very grounding and aligning. All right, interrupting this right here just to show you, I am making a lavender simple syrup. It is very easy to make. It's one of the easiest things actually. And that is another way that I find alignment in my day-to-day. I love making lavender lattes. These can be tea lattes like a London Fog or a traditional coffee or even matcha. And all you really need is this lavender simple syrup. which is so easy to make. You combine some sugar with your lavender, you bring it to a boil, let it simmer for some time, strain, and then store it in the fridge. I will link the full recipe down below. I have it up on my blog. Apart from those small moments of alignment that I choose to find every day and throughout the day, I also committed to some bigger chunks of time that I was going to devote to things that fill me up. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love everything you see me doing in my videos. I love playing with my kids. I love nursing my baby. Actually, this is a form of alignment time for me. Nursing my baby is just so joy-giving, especially as he is my second, and I know that those days are very finite, and there is going to be a time when we nurse no more, and he is going to grow and grow and grow, which I love seeing, but he's also not going to be my little baby anymore. What my break showed me is that I really do need to put more priority in filling my cup first before I can go and be all the things for everybody else. Otherwise, I just don't do anybody justice. I am not as patient and caring and loving towards my kids and my husband as I would like to be. Believe it or not, my kitchen projects go wrong because my mind is so cluttered that I will forget little details and I will accidentally overproof the bread, and then my bread turns out flat, which then my family still eats, but I feel disappointed about, and I won't be as loving and patient towards my husband as I would like to be. And this really doesn't get anybody anywhere. And so taking a little bit of time to do things that I love, even though it is time away from my family in the short term, actually allows everybody to benefit in the long term. So one of those things that I am doing is twice a week, I have a non-negotiable horse ride that I go on after the kids are in bed, since the days are still long, which I absolutely love, and the evening is no longer as hot. I put my boys to bed and then I run off, fetch my horse, and I go on a little horse ride. If you'd like to see more of me riding, I post quite a lot of that over on my Instagram. I'll link it down below. Come follow along. But whatever it might be for you, whether it's something that you did growing up, like I did with horse riding, whether it's a new passion or hobby, for me, it's also very important that it be something physical. Sitting down and reading a book is also great and something that I am looking forward to bringing back into my life, especially right before going to sleep. But I know that if the day has been particularly challenging for a variety of reasons, I need to do something that also moves my body and something that gives my mind a different focus point, so that I can no longer just think about work or think about the boys or think about all the things that I left unfinished in the house, because there always are things, especially on a farm. But my body and my mind are fully engaged in a different activity. And let me tell you, it's been so sweet. I often find myself laughing out loud, talking to my horse, doing all sorts of funky things just for the joy of it. Right, before I talk more about that, I am making some homemade potato gnocchi over here. And speaking of projects that go a little wrong, I wouldn't say this project has gone exactly wrong, but it did not turn out as good as in the past, which is why this recipe is not on my blog yet. I test all of my recipes meticulously to make sure they turn out great every single time. And while my family loved them and they were great, the consistency to me just wasn't quite as nice as the other time that I had made it. However, if you are a gnocchi lover, and you usually buy those store-bought gnocchis, oh my gosh, you are going to be blown away. Compared to the store-bought gnocchis, these are delicious. My favorite thing about them is that you can make a giant batch, and you can freeze them. So the convenience of the store-bought packages is really maintained because you can just pull a pack out of the freezer whenever you need them. The kids eat them really well. You can make a variety of sauces, and it's lovely. I am going to keep experimenting with it, and when I get it just right, I am going to link it in the description box below once I have that recipe up on my blog. Another way that I find alignment in my marriage, which is a huge part of my life and of motherhood, is non-negotiable dates with my husband. And I know that this is something that so many people talk about, but from my experience, at least from the people around me, this is not done enough. People do not follow through enough. The number of even older women that have told me that they have not been on a date for 3 years with their husband since they had this child or since this other thing happened is shocking and alarming to me. And one thing that I've noticed is that our home is so much more peaceful and balanced when Micah and I get time away alone to just chat and, have experiences together, eat some food, go see a new place, just do something, the two of us. Our entire household benefits. And I think that our grounded energy gets transmitted onto our children and our environment, and everybody is happier. So once again, I know it costs some money to get the sitter. If you can get a family member to watch your kids, all the better. And I know it's technically time away from the kids. In the long term, this will benefit them. I recently read some headlines about Gen Z not wanting to have children and not having children. And we all know about our population decline and low birth rates. And it just so pains me that very often the decision that young people make to not have children is fueled by this portrayal of motherhood as some sort of martyrdom. Did I say that right? Probably did not. That mothers are portrayed as these martyr figures who just suffer through and work so hard for no pay, and it's really all just a giant hassle that takes away from you living your life. I was recently speaking with a young woman who was telling me all about how she wants to live her life and do things for her. And while I completely understand where she's coming from, I was that young woman at one point in time, completely indoctrinated by the feminists of the age when I grew up. Having children and being a mother can also be the biggest expander and blessing in your life. All right, before I talk more about that, take a look at what I'm making here. These are sourdough croutons. Let me tell you, these are a massive hit in my house. First of all, we always seem to have a quarter or half loaf of sourdough that just goes stale almost every single week. And yes, I feed it to the chickens sometimes, but other times it's just not that hard yet, and I really want to use it for something. And so I came up with this recipe for sourdough croutons. We eat these as little snacks, like instead of chips or whatnot, and then we also put them in soups and on salads. They're so easy to make. You just chop up your sourdough, mix it with some oil and seasonings that you love, pop it in the oven until nice and crispy, and then you just store it in an airtight jar, and it'll last you for months. It's delicious. I will link the recipe down below. Okay, back to the topic of motherhood being portrayed in a negative light. I think this partially stems from everything that we've been talking about today. Mothers not taking time to do what they love, choosing to struggle and suffer through motherhood, and also choosing not to see all of the beauties of motherhood. And that is my last, I would not say tip, but way that I at least am blooming through motherhood instead of struggling through it, which is taking note of some of the little moments that you are never going to get back. That time that you nurse your baby, the time that your toddler really wants to show you something. I was recently editing a video, and it was an older video, and I heard my son in the background saying, "Look, mama, look, mama." And in that moment when I was editing that video, I was obviously shooting something. I wasn't necessarily looking at what he was showing me, and I felt such a tinge of remorse. And I thought, why didn't I just go look at what he was showing me? Was the work that I was doing really that important? Probably not. And so I really tried to carve out several different time slots during the day when I am 100% present with him and with my other son. I let him show me things and do things together. And even when we're busy and we're working on projects around the farm, whenever I have the opportunity, I just choose to pause and really look at him, really see the beautiful situation that's happening, and try to remember all of those details, because I often think about that version of me, that 80-year-old lady that is sitting on her front porch, if I even have a front porch. Maybe it'll be my field, or maybe on a horse. Maybe I'll be an 80-year-old lady on a horse. There we go. That's what I'm going for. And I am going through my life and reconsidering what really happened. We all know that we're not going to take any houses, wealth, or anything else with us. What really matters at the end of the day, in my opinion, are beautiful moments like this. Moments that you carve out for yourself, to align yourself, or you just find that deep joy of life. And then moments with your loved ones, moments with your children that you're never going to get back, moments that will form their entire life and their understanding of motherhood and family, and that will inform their choices going forward. So in my opinion, the best way to leave a legacy is to really be present and love your life, even as a mother. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what I was doing right here. I am making a new batch of kombucha, and I was experimenting and making lavender honey kombucha. It turned out delicious. It was awesome, 100% recommended. If you are brand new to kombucha making, or maybe you've made it before and it didn't turn out great, or maybe you were too nervous to make your first batch, I have a completely free ebook that you can download that will guide you through every single step, all the equipment you need, and how easy it is to make your first batch. I will link it in the description box below. You can just hop over. I'll ask you for your email, and you can grab it. I'll send it over to your inbox. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to know more about our life in the heart of Europe, please hit the subscribe button that you never miss a new video. Till next week.